everyone, this is Jace. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of our SCE Special Resilient edition. So today we are actually speaking about the impact of COVID-19 on our filmmakers and how that may change the way we tell stories in the future. We are here today with OKJ, who is a freelance director, documentary storyteller. You can also check out our previous interview with him, where he actually spoke about his passions and perspective on documentary filmmaking. Hi, OKJ. How have you been?
Hey, hi. It's been weird. It's been weird. But you gotta take it in stride, right? Yeah. Life is unexpected, but you do what you can.
That's true. Well, I like that spirit, man. So I understand you went back to freelancing. Situation affected you on a professional level.
Yeah, like the timing couldn't be better or worse if you want to think about it. Last year, I did what many freelancers might have done, which is you kind of juggle two things. You have your freelancing gig, but you also go back into the employment sphere, be it full-time or part-time. I personally took on a part-time role to kind of supplement my freelancing progression. And this year was supposed to be that big year where I go back to doing freelancing 100% full-time. And then this whole thing hit. You know, there was so much prospects at the start, especially in the first 3 to 6 months, that just started to evaporate with each week of the COVID-19 development. So yeah.
Wow. So how does it feel like to be a freelancer at this point in time during this whole COVID situation?
Well, I think immediately it feels like what an unlucky hand, right? It's like the timing really couldn't be worse, to be honest. But then when I started to reflect upon it, I much rather, in my own personal case, I much rather face something like COVID-19 in 2020 compared to in maybe like 2023, when the momentum really gets going, at least in the stage of my career. I was actually giving an analogy in January when me and my family were playing mahjong. I'm not sure whether you played have you played mahjong before?
Yeah, I do. But hasn't been playing for a long time, but not an expert,
Yeah, but essentially what the analogy I used, which I felt was quite apt, was that we started a new round, but at least I had some tiles that told me what I could play, rather than try to make something that was ambitious only to get fault later on down the road. So to be honest, I think the time, even though 2020 isn't going to be as ambitiously successful as I thought it would be, coming out from 2019, I'm taking it in stride. I much rather have it this year than like a few years later.
Right. So we hear about how COVID-19 has affected you on a professional level, but how about on a personal level? Has it affected you in any way?
On a personal level. Yeah, I think certainly so. Definitely in terms of how hard in terms of like the truth of the matter and like what happens in society, how that really plays out. Naturally, when we talk about things like privilege and stability, be it financial or family-wise, it's really a time to count your blessings, and then also when to also extend a helping hand to those who might be in need. So it's certainly a time of reflection as well as action as well. Certainly reflection isn't enough. Yeah, so reflection and action.
So we are seeing, filmmakers all over the world documenting their experiences from their personal stories, to how, the entire communities as well as frontliners have been affected by COVID-19. So during this period, are you working on any, personal projects, or have you been creating any work in response to COVID-19 as well?
Yeah, I initially started out not wanting to do that, simply because we can expect a slew of content, actually really great content coming out of this entire period. And I didn't feel that I had anything more to contribute to that upcoming conversation, up to the point where I had my own revelations as well. And then I realized that because COVID-19 is so all-encompassing, if I have stumbled on a revelation that I felt was valuable to society or the people around me, then I might start to entertain that. So to be honest, as of
Mm.
right now, I've just finished the first draft of what might be my first animated short, which is quite which is quite interesting because I'm a documentary storyteller. I've never dabbled in animation before, but naturally
Right.
taking into stride restrictions like the circuit breaker, and we still do not know how filmmaking as a practice is still going to be carried on after circuit breaker. So I started to dabble in animation, and I might be working with one of my close friends really soon. So that's quite exciting.
Oh wow, nice. But how do you pick up the so-called the skill sets in terms of the animation? Do you already, have tried something like this before, so you already have some knowledge, or you are actually picking up, as you go along doing it?
Well, the good thing for this one is I'm hoping my friend is agreeable to it. He and his entire team has great skills when it comes to animation. As for myself, I'm coming in from the story point of view, and I stumbled upon this because I'm also researching for what might be a documentary series that is still very early on in pre-production. But while I was researching that, I realized that what can I do now, or at least in the next few weeks and months, and then this animation idea come up. So fingers crossed that all things work out.
Yeah, wish you all the best. I'm sure you will. So just now we touched a bit about the state of the production right now. Because of circuit breaker, everything has stopped. So as we progressively open up, right? So post circuit breaker, let's say, do you think your life will actually go back to normal?
You know what? Now that you mention it, naturally my immediate answer is that there's no way we're returning back to normal. Regardless of what we think about it, COVID-19 is one of those historical markers that generations would reflect on. So it is something that would definitely shift the paradigm in like all of our lives. But I recently came away from a conversation where there is a different perception to the question that you had asked, which is this thing on on what is actually normal. I don't think the world is going to be normal, but the other thing is our response going to be normal? Which kind of ties in to why I wanted to do this animation that I'm currently embarking on, is that I do have almost a fear that once the pandemic slows down, there will be such a rush back to the status quo that people want to make up for lost time. And to be honest, that is trying to go back to the normal because the normal is better than where they are now. And maybe because of where I am, and I do admit that I am in a very privileged situation, with a peaceful roof over my head, and financially I'm not struggling as much as some of my other brethren and all that. This might be a time where I personally feel would be a great loss if we just go back to status quo, because there's so many things that we might be able to achieve in the next few months because COVID-19 has kind of put the world into a stop. Things like the topics on climate change, migrant rights, and all those kind of things. So hopefully the animation that I'm making would have a small nudge along with the rest of society's efforts to bring about greater good because of COVID-19.
So, I mean, you have spoke about how COVID-19 is really a historical marker, for all of us, right? It's unprecedented, never seen before, never happened before, right? And it's also the first time where the whole world seems to stop, right? So how has this whole COVID-19 affected the world, the way that you see the world? Will it have any impact on your storytelling in the future as well?
In terms of my world perspective, well, the first thing is I might even just comment on the thing on unprecedented. I think it's only unprecedented when we really look at the past few hundred years. But there's a saying that's been going around whereby history doesn't repeat itself, but it certainly does rhyme. So yes, a lot of people do look at the pandemic of 1918, but then after that, some people also look at the pandemics centuries ago as well. And to be honest, naturally, as a documentary, I love documentaries. So during my some of my lull periods during circuit breaker, I've also started to watch documentaries on like the Black Death and like the pandemic that was a reference within the Quran and all those kind of things. And to be honest, this is unprecedented in our modern society, but in the grand scheme of history, it isn't anything new. Which means that there are going to be mistakes that might be repeated. So I think my worldview is that, I'm a lot more interested in history now, because anything that might have happened, to be honest, might have actually happened before, and we can actually grab some lessons from that.
Right. So how do you see, so in terms of your storytelling angle, does that make you more leans towards historical type of topics, or actually you're actually looking into new ways of of presenting your stories?
Oh, well, that's an interesting question, because like dabbling in animation for my next project is a response to the current climate that we have. The fact that I cannot effectively do my job because I can't go down and shoot, and that might be a problem for the foreseeable future, especially if they say that COVID-19 is going to last for until the end of 2021, until at least the vaccine comes out and all those kind of things. So I'm actually not sure how to do my part as a documentary storyteller, going down and shadowing someone because of social distancing and all those kind of things. So as of right now, I think I'm definitely still exploring. Animation is certainly one of the more immediate things, because it was already something that I've been very interested in, and I've seen documentaries where majority of that documentary, because of the lack of archival footage or whatever, the directors and filmmakers decided to use animation as the main vehicle of their documentary. So I've seen that being done before. But in terms of like structure and all that, to be honest, I'm really still exploring. Possibly I've seen documentaries that's done in VR. Maybe that might be something. We'll see where technology, and we'll see how the situation develops.
Right. Thank you so much for the sharing. But before we end, do you have any words of advice or encouragement for the other creative during this COVID-19 situation?
I don't think I'm one to give advice. I'm definitely in a position to receive a lot of advice, but maybe just something I've learned, especially during the circuit breaker period, is there are many ways that we can respond to such a crisis. And to be honest, there's definitely more than one right answer. At the end of the day, I think is to find a way to be comfortable in this new period of uncertainty, but not too comfortable as in to be stuck. Because at the end of the day, if you don't have momentum, I'm not sure how someone is to move forward. But that itself is quite a difficult task at hand. So it's quite a conundrum, and everyone has a different different way in facing that. But talk to people, talk to friends, talk to family. That might be, to be honest, the best way to reignite your momentum, whatever you might have going into COVID-19 and what you might want to take out from it.
Right. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, it's great, right? I really agree with you, especially during this period of time. If there's any, listening ear, right, it's actually something that is, that probably most people are looking at already, in the form of assistance. All right, but thank you so much, OKJ, for taking the time to speak with us today. So if you enjoy our show, do let us know by clicking the like button or leave a comment below. Check out our Freelance Creative Exchange site and join our Creatives at Work community on Facebook and Instagram. Till then, take care and stay safe, everyone. Bye.
Bye.